All right, if there's a way to describe this man's performance on Saturday at UFC 259, I tend to go with workmanlike. A dominant unanimous decision win for Tim Elliott over Jordan Espinosa. 2 straight victories for Mr. Elliott. Great stuff. Tim, good to see you, man. How are you?
Good, man. Thanks for having me. Still up here in Vegas, hanging out, trying to get my house ready for rent.
There you go. Adulting is tough, man. It's
Hate
what we got to do. Yeah. I'll tell you what, man. You have had a lot of crazy fights, great finishes, and victories in your career. I got to tell you, I think from top to bottom, this was the best performance of your career in terms of like mixed martial arts and staying patient and like staying within yourself. This was a great showing for you, man. Are you as impressed with your performance as I am and a lot of other people are?
I wasn't super happy with it. James Krause said the same thing, though. He said my best performance to date. Like, he's trained with Jordan in the past. He knows how good he is. I'm almost never satisfied with my fights. But I've had some issues in the past where like I just want to do all this crazy stuff and be so exciting. And I lost the back of Gina's phone. Hold on 1 second. But I've wanted to really work on being exciting and stuff, and it made it almost impossible to stay consistent. And consistency is key. And in this fight, I was able to do that the whole time. I stuck with the game plan, a game plan that we had worked for a long time. And James actually changed twice in the fight. So I'm just lucky enough to have a coach like him that can pick up on those different things that I'm not even able to recognize. And he can see it, and I can make those adjustments in between rounds. And if I can keep doing that, I can keep winning.
Yeah, I mean, I was curious because like when you fight a certain way for so long, like you're so fast and furious in that exciting style. I mean, it has to be a challenge at this point to like turn that gear off, right? But it seems like you said, like over these last couple of fights, you've done that, and James has been a great influence on that. How would you describe that transition?
It's doing less almost. I would overdo things. I'll go in, I'll work my ass off to get a takedown, and then I'll work my ass off to pass or get to mount. And then I would do that. And then I would scramble somehow to get on bottom, and I would have these 50-50 reversal flops. And now I would go from winning to being on bottom. And then I had to do extra work to get up and undo the shit that I did to myself. And so it's just doing less, like going in, getting the takedown. And then once I'm in a dominant winning position, stay winning. Like James is like, you always get in a hurry to stop winning. Like you did the work to get on top. Like it's not my duty to be exciting for both of us. Like if I get the guy down, it's not my duty to let him get up so I can take him down again. It's on him to do that. And that's what makes a guy tired. And that's what it works to my style, even though it's not exactly what I want to be doing. It still adheres to my style in the sense that I'm controlling and still having fun, because winning is fun. So, you want to be exciting, or do you want to be consistent and win? And I'm going to always have that little exciting factor, but at the same time, I need to like add some of that like winning, James Krause shit. And I'm able to do that. I trust the guy, so he's easy to listen to. I'm a soldier. I shouldn't be in charge of anything, but if you tell me what to do, I can take orders well. I could do anything if I have somebody standing over me telling me what to do and how to do it. And James has no problem being that guy.
Yeah, I felt like you guys like shared a brain on Saturday, like you were in tune with everything he said, but at the same time, like it was still very personalized instruction. Like he still in a way let you be you. Even like when you got cut in the 3rd round, like when he told you to like bleed on his face, you just flowed right into it. Almost seemed like that's like almost exactly what you were thinking in a weird way. Like, can you explain like that moment, that flow you guys have, that zone that you just seem to be in with each other at certain points?
Yeah, man. It's again, I think it's trust. Like I haven't had control of anything this whole entire camp. Like when I got to Kansas City, first it was just, hey, come down for 2 weeks, get ready for the Benoit fight. We don't have a lot of time. I came down and I was like, yeah, I'm going to come back and forth through my camps. And James was like, no, you're not. He's like, either you're going to come down here and you're going to be on the team, or you're not going to come here. And so like, of course I moved there. And as soon as I got there, I drove from Las Vegas to Kansas City. I got to Kansas City at time for 10 o'clock practice. And when I went into 10 o'clock practice, James was like, this is your schedule. These are the practices I want you to do. This is the strength and conditioning days. These are when you show up for your privates. And this is your nutritionist. This is who you're working with now. So I'm like, okay, perfect. No problem. So I had everything structured and laid out for me to win this fight. And all that comes with trust. And then twice during the fight, the game plan changed. We worked staying left-handed the whole time, southpaw, trying to shut down his jab hand. And we worked not shooting open mat takedowns, putting him up against the wall and taking him down up against the wall. In between the first and second round, James was like, yo, the wall shit's not working. I want you to take an open mat takedown. So right away in between first and second round, bam, open mat takedown, I'm on top. In between the second and third round, he says, hey, we need you to close your stance. You've been staying southpaw. That head kick's coming. That's the only way he can beat you now is a knockout, something crazy. So I need you to close the stance, turn to right-handed, and fight from there, and still with your open mat takedown. Made that adjustment, got the takedown right away. It's so easy to do what he says because you know that he knows what he's talking about, not just as a coach, but as an athlete. He's the hardest working guy in MMA. He's coaching, he's training, he's a dad, he's a husband, like he does it all. And like he's the ruler in the gym, and everybody looks up to him, and everybody stays in line, and it's a culture there. Like we're a bunch of soldiers following our captain into battle, and it's no problem for all of us to like just give the reins over and let him take the wheel.
This sport in particular, it's kind of hard to find somebody you can trust like that, right? Like you've been at this for a while, and I'm sure you've had great relationships in the past, but to like, put your trust in somebody like this and have it sort of reciprocated, that's got to be a freeing feeling at this point in your career, is it not?
It's so freeing, and it's not easy. Like you said, that's a lot. I'm putting my career, and everything. Not only that, like we moved out of a place that we loved and a city that we loved with a team that we loved down here in Vegas and coaches that we loved. And it couldn't have been a better, smarter move for us. Like we're with somebody that's the proof is in the pudding. Like we're seeing the work, not just with us, like guys like Jeff Molina. When I left Kansas City, Jeff Molina I don't even know how many fights he had, but now Jeff Molina is one of the baddest dudes on the planet. Like that dude tears me up in practice. Like there's some days in the gym, there's 5 or 6 flyweights in there, several professionals, but even the amateurs. Some days I'll go in there and I'm the 4th or 5th or 6th best guy in there. And like, it was hard for me at first to go in there and have that happen. And then closer to the fight that it happens, I'm like, good, man. If I'm the best little guy in the gym, then it's time to like find other guys to come in or have to bring little guys in. And our little group of guys is so good that it just alternates. Who's better that week? Who's better the next week? And, rarely am I the best guy in there. And it's awesome.
Jordan is a talented guy. Like he's been trying to break out for a while now, but it just hasn't happened for him despite being a great athlete and having a lot of skill. Just putting it all together is a very different thing altogether in this sport. I mean, it's just how it is. I know he used to train at Glory and James worked with him, but had you trained with Jordan before?
I never have. And honestly, when the fight first got brought to me, he was training with James. And I called James like, yo, I'm thinking about fighting this guy. And James was like, oh, he's here training with me. So I asked for the fight, and the fight was, as far as I knew, it was going to go through. And then it didn't happen. So I assumed he, just turned it down. And then when I went to train with James after the Benoit fight, he was like, yo, we're going to go after this kid again. And I was like, well, if he's going to come here and train, like, I don't need to fight him. Like, I'd rather have him as a training partner. And James was like, no, he had his chance to come here and train, and that's a good fight for you. So I feel like I had some insight. A bunch of guys that had already trained with him. He was in Kansas City for a while. The other coaches worked with him a little bit. And, everybody has the opportunity to come train with James Krause. And for me, I feel like it's a cheat code. Having my manager and my coach is almost a cheat code in the game because we automatically get respect, and I get put on the level because he's on the level. So, like, just trickle down from him, like my life is going better and Gina's life is going better, and we're both winning fights now. And it's not a coincidence. And we had to give up everything and change everything in order for that to happen. And it's anybody can do that. It's hard. It's hard to risk everything, on a coach. I've done it before. I did it with Robert Follis in the past, and then the guy killed himself. So I had already moved away from a coach that I loved to go train with a guy, and I gave up everything to go train with a guy, and then he committed suicide, and it took a long time for me to get over that. And then to give up again and give up a house that I love and move and do all this over again it was a scary thing. But again, like, everybody has that opportunity, and you just have to jump on those when they come. And I was lucky enough to have a wife that was ready to pack up and go as soon as I said, and now we're there, and things couldn't be better.
Of course, the performance was great, the win was great, but you get yourself a winning streak cooking for the first time since The Ultimate Fighter. And before that, in terms of like fights actually counting on your record, since you were in Titan FC, and I remember that run you went on there. How does it feel to like have a couple of wins under your belt, like consecutive victories?
Like you said, it's new to me. I've never really put a streak together in the UFC, and I think that had to do like a little bit with the betting odds. If you look, consistency has not been there. So, but that was always consistency with what was going on in my day-to-day life that affected my fighting. Now the consistency is I'm training. I have a set schedule. I know exactly what I'm going to be doing for the whole camp. I knew exactly what I was going to be doing every single day. There wasn't a day where I was like, oh, what am I going to do today? I didn't have that. I knew what I was going to do. And it made it easy come fight night. Like I didn't have to think about anything. I just had to listen and do what I'd already been doing. So everything just takes care of itself if you're doing the right thing and staying consistent. And I'm doing that now. And that's, like I said, I'm getting older, but I'm getting smarter and I'm getting better. And that's a problem for a lot of these little guys.
The one sort of unfortunate thing about the fight is the win isn't the big story, Tim. Like it's what happened at the end of the second round, the words you had for him. And we're not going to like get into specifics here because you explained yourself in the media scrum. I did have a couple of questions. Like firstly, like, does it kind of suck that the story isn't about the win, but about 25 seconds in the second round?
It does. And like I said, the worst part about it is that like the fight's not being talked about, but the fight wasn't it wasn't the banger that I really wanted, but that's not on me. That it takes two guys to fight. And a big part of it was I lost my cool because I wasn't performing how I really wanted to. The things that I really wanted to work that I'd been doing this camp weren't really working. And I was getting frustrated, and I already had a little bit of bad blood toward the guy. I don't like him, which is not new for me either. Usually I'm friends with the guys that I fight and definitely friends after we fight. But with this one, there was something there, and I lost my temper, and I took him down, and I was talking shit. But that was meant like between him and I wasn't trying to blast the guy. I just wanted to let him know that I knew and get in his head and punish him a little bit. But it sucks that that's what's being talked about, and that's not my place. I'm not the guy. You know what I mean? I want to be the company guy that the UFC can call to come in and fight and make weight. Keep his mouth shut and do his job, and then let it go, and then go home and come back and do it again, the next week. And I think I've been that guy in the past, and hopefully it doesn't shadow me out, and I can still be that guy for the UFC. I feel like people make mistakes, and I'm no different than anybody else. But 15, 20 fights in the UFC, I haven't made very many, and I've never caused the promotion any kind of embarrassment or shame. And I stand by all that, and I'm proud of what I've done in this company.
Yeah, I mean, it's a fight. Things happen in the heat of battle. I get it. Can I ask you what like the beef was before all of this? Like, what was the issue you had with him?
I received a couple different messages from people, and like just saying like, "Oh, this guy's not a good guy." And then he also trained with some of the guys in Kansas City, and there's just rumors going around about how he trains with girls and things that he does. And I'm a little guy. I train with girls all the time. My fiance, she fights in the flyweight division. I have a daughter. I just kind of lost my cool thinking about all those things. And that just shows my head wasn't in the fight. That's not things I should be thinking about during the fight. I got to focus on, fighting and winning and doing my job. But again, it's just, I'm a guy who's surrounded by women that I love, and I just lost my temper. But I still get messages. People say things on the internet. You know what I mean? You can't really take it for truth, and that's on me. I made a rash decision to talk when I shouldn't have, and it's something I'm gonna have to deal with and figure out. But again, I was upset, and there's nothing I can do about it now.
Yeah. Last thing on this, and again, we're not going to talk about anything specific, but like you said, you probably get messages all the time from fans and people, and there was like one message in particular that was kind of like the standout. Do you just wish like you never looked at it, like you deleted it or just kept it where it was?
I mean, the thing is whether you win or lose or talk shit or don't talk shit, every single fight you get the same thing. It's like people saying, "Oh, great job," or "You suck," and the bad part about with this one is I think that it upset some of his fans. So I'm getting like messages talking about my daughter and my fiance and stuff. But again, I I don't try to pay too much attention to it. At the end of the day, I'm here to fight and win fights, and I got the win. And I wish that was the story, but it's not. And all I can do is make the next one. The story can be about the fight. And I got my fiance coming up next, so I have plenty to occupy my time.
Yeah, and James is going to be pretty busy too over the next few weeks, right? I mean,
always, man. Always.
It's like he's in Vegas every Saturday.
Yeah, well, he doesn't even take his luggage and shit home now. He just leaves it here at the hotel. He keeps the same room.
It's so crazy, man. Have you spoken at all with Jordan since Saturday, or is there just nothing to say to him at this point?
No, we don't talk. If he wanted to call and have a conversation, we could. I'm still getting messages from people saying like he's a bad guy and stuff. But the thing is, like, it's not my place. I don't really care. It's all I can do to worry about my own problems, and I have plenty of things that I'm not proud of that I've done. And I'm trying to raise a 5-year-old daughter to, be a respectable human being, and I have to hold myself to a higher standard, and I have to show her that level of respect. And me talking on the TV and cursing to where she could hear, she watches my fights. So that's not something I want her to see out of me or think that that's who I am. Whether he did what he did or didn't, like, I have to control what I'm doing. And, I think there's a lesson to be learned there for myself and for my daughter and for my family and for my team and my coaches. And I'm still learning in this sport, and Saturday was no different.
Well said. So where do we go from here, Tim? I mean, you jump up 2 spots in the rankings. You're in the top 10 again at 125. No shortage of exciting matchups out there for you. You got there's a fun flyweight bout coming up on Saturday with Mateus Nicolau and Manel Cape. Kai Kara France got a good win on Saturday. Just so many 25ers out there. What kind of sticks out to you in terms of your next move, time frame, etc.?
Man, as far as time goes, I'm good to go, minus Gina's fight. But you're right. There's some good fights coming up. Everybody in the division right now is good. There's no like lingers hanging around. All those guys already got fired. So it's a bunch of killers, and being in the top 10 doesn't really mean anything. That Manel Cape, like, that dude's a gangster. Kai Kara France, like, there's so many good, exciting fights, but those are the ones I want. I want the exciting ones. I feel like this fight wasn't a great stylistically exciting matchup, but I think Kai Kara France would be. He's not going to stay down when you take him down. He's going to get up and try to knock my head in, and I do better with guys like that. When I'm getting hit a little bit and getting pushed backwards a little bit, it brings the best out of me. So guys like that or bonus money guys, and that's what I really like. So if I could get my ideal matchup, it would be Kai Kara France the weekend after Gina's fight. Oh,
that'd be a badass fight. Of course, the title's back on the line in June, the rematch between Figueiredo and Moreno, and you've been in there with Figgy Smalls before, but the first fight was absolutely tremendous. So, from a fan's perspective, do you see the rematch going any differently? Did you see things that maybe would lead you one way or the other?
Man, I don't know. With those two, they're so good. I told my dad after the Ultimate Fighter, Brandon lost the first fight on the Ultimate Fighter, so I kind of gravitated toward him and like trying to use him as a partner because he was already out of the show. I knew he was good. I called my dad right when the show let out, and I was like, this kid is going to be the champion of the world. I kid you not. The 16 seed on my season of the Ultimate Fighter will be the champion of the world. And I still stand by that. I still believe that. Not taking anything away from Figueiredo. I just think Brandon's a wild man, he's young, he's hungry. His fight IQ will get better, and I think that will put him over the edge. I see a little bit of myself in him. He almost wants to win so bad and do so much, like he almost overdoes it, and you can't do that with a guy like Figueiredo. He's so freaking good. He's going to make you pay. You make one little mistake, and he's going to make you pay for it. But I'm going Brandon Moreno on that fight, and maybe this isn't the one for him, but I promise you that kid's going to be the champion one day. He's good.
Such an infectious personality too. Like
he really is, man. He's a great guy.
Of course, you mentioned Gina back in May. Great debut at 125 against Rachel Ostovich. She gets Priscilla Cachoeira at UFC 262. It seems like the move to 25 was a good one. What have you seen from her? I mean, obviously you guys train together, you live together and all that stuff, but what have you seen from her since the fight with Julia Avila, kind of leading towards the fight in November?
Well, it's the same thing I was going through. We just had no organization in our game. And she, not only that, her diet wasn't the best, but she didn't have anybody that she really trusted or respected enough to do everything that they said. She wanted to come up here and take like the body fat test to see like what was the lowest weight she could go down to. And then James Krause messaged me. This was before the Benoit fight. And he was like, dude, give me 2 months with Gina and just give me 2 months. And you guys can leave if you guys don't like it. And she came down there and I talk about my camp and the organization that I went through. My camp wasn't nothing. Like Gina did a 15-week training camp where she dieted the whole time. James said the hardest schedule that he'd ever put on any of his pro fighters. Gina didn't lift a weight or do a single crunch and had an 8-pack. But she trusts James. She's seen what he's doing is working. She saw it work for me. I had 2 weeks to get ready for the Benoit fight. And when the Benoit fight got brought up, I wasn't excited about it. I trained with him before. Both times Benoit and I sparred, I think he dropped me with body shots in the second round. So like when this fight came up, I was kind of like, oh shit, this guy put the hammer on me. And I told James that. But James was like, yeah, I got 2 weeks. We got it. No problem. And, I trust him and I listen. But what Gina did was amazing. Like I could talk about my camp all day. I could not have done what quality of life, man. I'm trying to still have a beer and, smoke some weed if I want to. Not Gina. She didn't eat a cookie. She didn't have a bite of anything that wasn't on the diet. She didn't miss a single practice. Her camp was, again, like I wouldn't want to do it because my quality of life I wouldn't be happy. Like it was nothing short of amazing what she did in her camp. And, I feel like my old ass couldn't do that, but she did what James said and it paid off. And now she doesn't have to do a 15-week skill building training camp. She's already knows James' system. Like all we have to do is train to beat Priscilla. And I think that she'll be put in a good spot to do that.
It's got to be pretty inspiring to watch all that play out. 15 weeks of all that. She must have fired you right up.
It was, well, man, I was like bitching about my camp. Like, oh, I'm tired and shit. And then like have James and Gina look at me like, man, you don't know shit.
That's crazy, man. I'm actually going to be speaking with one of your teammates right after this, Grant Dawson, who's fighting next Saturday. How's he looking, man? I know he's going up to 55, but I feel like the frame's perfect for him. How's he looking right now?
Man, he's a problem. Like, it's going to take a very special person to beat Grant. Like, you can't just be good and beat Grant Dawson. You know what I mean? You have to have either crazy knockout power, crazy jiu-jitsu. He is so like well-rounded and good. And I think him making 45 was taking away from him. I don't think he was able to really perform how he should. At 145, I think the weight cuts took too much out of him. They took too much time in his camp to get down to weight. And at 55, he's not going to have those problems. And he'll feel right into it. I promise you. He's going to be a big 55er. And he's a problem in this division. He really is.
The performance was amazing, man. I know may not be as impressed as a lot of other people. I even spoke to Laura Sanko the other day, and she said the same thing. She thought your performance stuck out, more than a lot of people. So I thought it was one of your best. She felt the same way. James obviously felt the same way. And I think you're showing you're like a fine wine, my man. You're getting better as you age. So congratulations again. All the best to you and to Gina in camp and in the fight in May, man.
All right, man. Thank you. We appreciate it.